What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to From the Bench. I'm your host, Will Meadows, and today is our Wednesday edition of the show where we have a ton of basketball to talk about. I'm sure everybody's up to date with the big games that Tennessee had this past weekend against the Kentucky Wildcats and the Florida Gators, where we came out victorious at home against the top 5 Florida Gators, and we're going to talk about all that and more on today's episode. But before we get into anything, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment of what you think about this game, about the game last Saturday against the Florida Gators. We're also going to talk a ton about just around the SEC with college basketball right now because, again, it's a gauntlet, like I continue to say all the time. It's just ridiculous in the SEC this year. But, yeah, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Also, make sure you are followed to all of our socials. They are listed below, and let's just get right into it. The Vols pick up a huge win on Saturday against rival Florida Gators. As we all know, we got smothered by them, just killed by them by 30 the first time we played, and we were in Gainesville. This time they came back to Knoxville, and we picked up a win 64-44, 20-point win. It's the largest win in school history against a top 5 opponent. We only had 7 scholarship players. We were without Eor Milicic, who was sick. We were without Zakai Ziegler due to injury. Hopefully, we get those guys back for tonight's game against Missouri. I know Igor is a game time decision, but I hope to see Zakai back as well. Felix Akapara played well. Chaz Lanier played one of his better games against Florida, and Jason Gainey. We had guys pick up the slack when we're missing 2 guys. Felix Akapara had 10 points, 8 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Jordan Gainey had 16 points, 4 rebounds, and 5 assists, and Chaz Lanier led the way with 19 points and 5 rebounds. So it was a great showing by the guys. We held Florida. Our defense was incredible. We held Florida to like 24% shooting or something crazy like that. The guys were playing hard. You could tell that it was a needed game because, like we said, it could have raised a lot of question marks if we did win that game, even without Zakai and Igor, just because losing 3 in a row against 3 good basketball teams and 2 of them being at home with Auburn, Kentucky, and Florida. You want to see us come out with one of those. Obviously, we know what happened with Auburn. Very close game, lost by 1 or 2 points at Auburn. Some people can say the refs. Some people can say this, that, and the other. The refs aren't always going to be in your favor. The refs were not very good either way. Just a couple calls down the stretch. A lot of Tennessee fans questioned. Kentucky shot the lights out of it, and we did not play our best down the stretch. And then, we came to play. I mean, the guys, outside of scoring, which we did that pretty well, they just played so hard. I mean, it seemed like they were on the floor all the time, and they were hustling. I mean, they saved a ton of balls from going out of bounds. Just the extra fight, it seemed like they had a little chip on their shoulder after losing 2 in a row. And not wanting to get embarrassed again at home, knowing they were missing 2 very good playmakers, 2 of your 3 best players, and didn't want to drop 3 in a row. So, very, very good day for the Vols, and a very just really an insane day in college basketball. 11 AP top 25 teams went down on Saturday, which is the most for one day in the history of the AP poll. Which that just sounds insane because college basketball is kind of known for their upsets, but nonetheless, just an insane day inside of college basketball. Is an insane day in sports in general, I'm sure. Everybody was aware about the Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis trade, which that's a story for another day. That's one of the dumbest trades I've ever seen in my life for the Dallas Mavericks. I just my little short take on it. I'm the biggest Luka Doncic hater there is, but you don't trade a guy who just got you to the finals because you want to win now. He won all but a series for you, and with that trade, they're not better than the Thunder, the Cavs, the Celtics, blah, blah, blah. That's besides the point. The Lakers got a lot better. I mean, you have your franchise piece. You're no longer on LeBron's very old timeline and not very long timeline, and you've got your franchise for the next 12 years. So you can't complain if you're a Lakers fan. But they have got to go get a center because they cannot play any defense. But that's besides the point. Still basketball, very big in the basketball world, one of the most insane and surprising trades in sports history, in the history of the game. So Not just that game, just in sports in general. But like I said, it was crazy around basketball. But on here we usually have a segment just to pick back up and a little like a checkpoint, I guess you'd say, for around the SEC. We did it with football, we've done it with basketball before, and we're gonna do it with basketball again. So the Vols jumped to fourth in the country on the AP poll. Fourth in the AP poll after their successful win against the Florida Gators. And you may be thinking, well, we lost. How do we jump 3, 4, 2 spots, whatever it was? Again, a lot of teams lost, and some being ahead of us, some being behind us, but a lot of teams lost. So the Vols now sit at fourth in the country, but they're sixth in the SEC, which doesn't really sound right. I mean, it's just how it is. I mean, that's bound to change a lot when more teams start to play each other. Like Mizzou is third, and we're going to play them tonight. Sorry, I keep saying tomorrow. We're going to play them tonight. So they're sixth at the SEC, in the SEC behind Auburn, Alabama, Mizzou, Texas A&M, and Florida, which Florida's just played one less game than us. We're 5-4. Florida's 5-3. A&M is 6-3. Missouri is 6-3. Auburn is 8-0, and I think Alabama is 6-2 or 7-1, one of those two. So a very successful week from them. Obviously, we know we've got Alabama at home on March 1st, a little orange out in the Food City Center at Thompson Bowling Arena, so that should be a good game. It's got a lot of basketball ahead of us. I don't know if just about out of contention for the regular season SEC championship, which is what we've won a few times in the last few years. I don't see Auburn losing 4 more times whatsoever, especially because they don't have to play us again. I mean, I just don't see that happening for Auburn. But around the SEC this week, like I said, just an insane week. This was just on Saturday because we're highlighting that insane day. Missouri goes to Stark Vegas against the Mississippi State Bulldogs, a ranked matchup, and Missouri just manhandles them, 88-61. Missouri's hot right now. They're the 15th ranked team in the country in this new AP poll. They're a good basketball team, and we'll see them, and we'll talk a little bit more about that at the end of the show. But we'll see them tonight. Auburn goes to Ole Miss, wins 92-82. Auburn just looks like the best team in the country, far and away, especially in the SEC. I mean, the close second is Duke, but Auburn, it just looks really hard to beat right now. Vandy, the freshly ranked Commodores, go to Oklahoma and get smacked, just absolutely drilled, 67-97. About had triple digits hung on them and lost by 30. Not a good look for the Commodores. Coming off 2 good wins against Tennessee and Kentucky, didn't fare well in Sooner territory. The Georgia Bulldogs head to Alabama. Again, Alabama is very hot right now. Alabama beat them by 21 points. It was 69-90. Was not a very close game. Texas at LSU. Texas just laid the wood on them. 89-58. Was not a close game at all. Texas A&M played South Carolina, and I kind of feel bad for South Carolina. A&M gets the win 76-72, but South Carolina just seems like they play everybody tough. I guess they had the worst or the second worst standings or record or whatever in the SEC. And, I mean, they just have played everybody tough. They played Auburn tough. They played Alabama tough. They just played A&M tough. But, they can't come up with it. They haven't been blown out really by anybody. I mean, I'm sure they have at some point, but, they can't get over the hump. They lost by 4 to top 15 ranked Texas A&M, and, you move, but those guys have got to figure out how to close out a game or at least try and get a big win on the road or at home because, again, the SEC is a gauntlet, correct, if you answered with me, because that is my favorite saying as we talk about basketball here. And then Arkansas, the Calipari return to Rupp Arena. Rick Pitino, if you saw, Rick Pitino made an announcement to Kentucky fans saying, don't boo, it's not worth it. He brought you a lot of good. Don't let the good or the bad outweigh the good, this, that, and the other. Kentucky fans did not listen whatsoever. They booed the mess out of him. And this game the score is 89-79 in the favor of the Razorbacks, but it was not a very close game, in my opinion. If you watch that game, it just seemed like Arkansas had control the whole game. John L. Davis played his best game of the year for Arkansas, but outside of John L. Davis and maybe another guy or two, everybody on that Arkansas roster was either committed or played for Kentucky. And that's all you really need to know. In my opinion, Arkansas has not been very good at all this year, especially in SEC play. At Rupp Arena, yeah, whatever. I picked Arkansas to win this game solely because that was almost like the Super Bowl to those guys. I mean, that they played that game with a chip on their shoulder. They got booed every second they were in there, and they played hard. Big Z played one of his best games this year. Boogie Flan was solid. I mean, the guys all around were just solid. Carter Knox was solid. Those guys got out and transitioned quick. Their athleticism showed, which is a little bit of it's something more. It's almost, they looked like the Arkansas that I wanted to see all year. Not wanted to see because I don't like John Calipari, but the Arkansas I kind of expected and thought I was going to see all year. Those guys are, some of them are young and what this, that, and the other, but they're so explosive. They are great athletes. Like Aduthiero, like I just said, Carter Knox, who is a freshman who hasn't played a ton, but he's an incredible athlete. Like, these guys are great athletes. And they got out and showed it against the Kentucky Wildcats, and Calipari got his revenge. To all the booing, and they pulled away with the win. But, I mean, it really does show you, like, it was funny because when ESPN posted that Tennessee killed Florida or whatever, everybody in the comments was like, yeah, it's crazy how good home court advantage is in college basketball this year, which, yeah, it's true. But then you have games like Vandy at Oklahoma. That's a game. Oklahoma, home court advantage was great. They won by 30. But then you have games like Missouri at Mississippi State. Missouri wins that game 88-61, which are two good teams. It's different if it's like a really good team going on the road against a not-so-good team, and they just beat them because they're a better team. Like, no, those teams are close, evenly matched, and I mean, Missouri just killed them. Like in Texas at LSU, that one's a little different because Texas is better than LSU. But Arkansas and Kentucky, you'd think the better team has the home court advantage. You know what? You'd think that Kentucky would come out with that one, and they don't. Arkansas, again, like I said, played it like their Super Bowl. It was the hardest they had played all year under Calipari, and it showed. And they came out with the win. I think that might be their first win in the SEC. If it is, it's one of not very many. So, congrats to Arkansas and the Calipari and his return to Rupp Arena. I don't hate John Calipari, as some Tennessee fans do. I don't hate Bruce Pearl. That's another one. I don't like Calipari just because I'm not going to like a guy who coached at Kentucky. Even though you guys can call me crazy, I like Mark Pope, the coach at Kentucky, excuse me. So, he's a nice guy. I've met him before. I think he's a great basketball coach. In a year where Kentucky was thought to be not near as good as they once were, he has been very good this year. So, Tennessee, like we said, has Missouri tonight, a top 15 matchup again for the Vols. It seems like every game in the SEC seems to be like a top 15 matchup. We've had, 3 or 4 straight top 15 matchups. This one's at 7 o'clock. I'm not used to it because I'm used to the guys playing on Tuesday, so at least I'll get to watch this one. On Tuesdays, I've had basketball games like of my own. Obviously, I'm not playing anymore, like I said, with my ACL, which also my surgery is on Monday, so this is on a Wednesday. This next Monday, I have surgery, so please keep me in your prayers, not saying that out loud just for attention or somebody to tell me it's going to be all right, but just keep me in your prayers. I believe in the power of prayer. So keep me in your prayers next Monday as I have surgery to get my knee repaired, ACL, meniscus, and LCL. So thank you for that. But, I haven't really been able to watch a ton of them. I have to record them and go back and watch them when I get home. But I get to watch one now. I was going to try and go, but, again, my knee, I'm not going to be able to go for tonight's game. But it's on SEC Network, so I'll be tuning in there, and everybody else, if they're interested, you can tune in there. But I think it's another one, like, obviously, yes, the Vols are back on track after you beat a top 5 team in the country by 20. There's no doubt about it. But, I mean, you can really just start cementing yourself back in those. Again, we're top 4 in the country, yes, but there's still some question marks, whether you like that or not. Like, just because a bunch of other teams lose and we have one good win, like, it doesn't just, boom, everything's fine. Like, we definitely have some things to clean up. And a win at home against a top 15 team in the country, a game that you should win, especially if Zakai and Igor are playing, could really just submit you and get you right back where you left off before you lost to Auburn and Vanderbilt and everything else. But would move to 6-4 in SEC. The Vols are 18-4 right now. Hopefully we can get to 20 wins without losing another one. So we've got Missouri, and then we don't play at home very much this year. Like after Missouri, we only have one more home game the rest of the month of February, and then so you've got Missouri this Wednesday, and then I think on February 15th, I want to say it is, or 17th, it's a Saturday. You've got Vanderbilt at home, and then you don't play a home game again until March 1st when Alabama comes to town on that Saturday. Again, like I said, it's the Orange Out and Thompson Bowling. But a lot of very important basketball left to be played ahead of the SEC tournament, ahead of March Madness. I mean, right now, Joe Lunardi has the Vols as the 1 seed. I would love to see that, but, you gotta win out. Stay the course and play your brand of basketball, which right now it has not been pretty with the way we've been shooting the ball. But as long as we win, I don't care. But, again, I hope we get a good win tonight. I think we're going to win. I'd like to see, like I said, Zakai and Igor back, hopefully. I think Igor's just sick. I mean, he wasn't even at the game against Florida, and he was not reported injured or anything like that, so he must have just been sick. And then we saw Zakai kind of aggravate his injury on Saturday, or not on Saturday, before Saturday against Kentucky. So hopefully he's all right, and hopefully we have him back tonight. But I think that is going to wrap it up for today's episode. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel and like this video, and go Vols.